And we are at the Campus View Club here at the Peterson Event Center. And Jeff, it's weird tonight. The last two Thursdays there have been women's games, and there's none. And it just seems
quiet,
eerily quiet, especially after last night with all that noise. Congratulations. What a nice road win.
Thank you. It was a big-time win. Our guys showed toughness and grit, and we didn't blink in the face of pressure, and everyone contributed and made big-time winning plays.
I ran into the guy who runs the OC lot an hour ago, and he was saying, I think a really big compliment to your team. That reminded me of the Big East days.
Yeah.
Guys playing hard, getting after it, and what a compliment.
Yeah, it was a really, really physical game throughout, and both teams really fought and competed. Both teams came in. I think we maybe had one more game. I think we were 8-3. They were 7-3 because they were coming off of their bye. But I was just really proud of our guys because I knew that we were a little bit banged up, a lot tired, just because of the emotion of the previous games that we've had, Wake and Miami, and the energy we had to expend to win both. We didn't really practice. We were off Sunday. We didn't really practice on Monday because we were down bodies because of guys being out with illness and injury. So that was more of a mental day. The day before the game on Tuesday, we don't really go that much anyway. And so I was just worried about us from a fatigue standpoint. Would we be able to sustain that all game? I knew we'd be ready to play. And I was counting on the adrenaline of the game, of being in that arena, of that crowd, that would kind of get us through. And our guys were fantastic, man. It wasn't the prettiest game, but we fought, we competed, both teams defended. They went on a little run early. We went on a run to take the lead at half. They came out and went on a lead. They went on a little bit of a run.
And then that guy did.
Yeah, well, it was interesting because it was very similar to here, where it was like we kind of got into it, the talking, the pushing, and things like that. And just like here, that ignited us down there. That ignited us, and it especially ignited Nelly. And I think he hit 3 straight threes. I could tell that he was feeling it a little bit, so we just kept calling things to get him in ball screens. They had changed their coverage and gone to more of a drop. And, Federico did a great job of getting contact, and Nelly did the rest of getting off of it and getting to spots. And, even after he hit the 3 threes, he came down, we ran the same play. He had a little pocket pass to Fede, and he was able to go in and scored. And that gave us some separation right there. But the thing I was most proud of, man, was that, again, that building got really loud. It was very electric in there. And when they took the lead, they got the offensive rebound and hit the 2 free throws. We didn't blink. We're down 1. I made the decision in the timeout, and people probably maybe thought I was crazy, but we're going to go for one shot. We're going to go for the win right now. And I felt confident in our guys in that moment that we would be able to execute. And we were able to come out and do that. Jamari has hit 2 big-time free throws. We knew what they wanted to do. We knew North Carolina had 1 timeout. I think it was 3.6 seconds left. And we knew the play that they run. And so we were able to make them catch it. They normally try to throw it to half court and get a timeout. And if you do that, obviously the clock doesn't start until you touch the basketball. We made R.J. Davis catch it right above the 3-point line. So he had to take a few dribbles to get to that spot. And by the time he got there, it was 0.6 seconds. And then, obviously, even if, I know there was some controversy, I don't think he got the shot off.
I don't think he did either.
Yeah, I don't think it would have counted even if, we didn't block it. I thought it was a clean block. But, again, we did a really good job of getting stops the last few possessions and then executing.
When those things work out, because there are a number of assistants that go over film and look at tendencies. When those things play like that, how proud are you of your staff to have that information and to have it play exactly as you thought?
Yeah, I'm very proud of them. I think those guys do a great job. This game it especially helps because my brother knows all their calls because he played there. And that play when they get it to half court, they did it against Ohio State. They were in a very similar situation. They were down 2 against Ohio State in the Garden. and they made the pass, got it to half court, called timeout, and then they made a play to Pete Nance, and he hit a shot to put it into overtime, and they went back and won. So we knew the play. They've been doing that since Coach Smith was there, since I was little watching Carolina. So we knew that play, so we were able to do that. The one they ran in the half court, I thought they were going to run the play for Pete Nance. They didn't. I don't know if we defended it well, and that was the second option, but we did a really good job of defending it.
Was at the end, was it Jamarius like, hey, see what's out there, see what's available, if it's a pass, whatever, you trust them?
Yeah, well, we knew, the thing we wanted to do was that we wanted, in the timeout, we said whoever R.J. Davis is guarding, that guy's going to set a ball screen. And we wanted to try to get the switch. I thought we could get the switch and to get R.J. and to get Leaky Black off of Jamarius. And once we did that, again, we wanted to go. Our thing was we're going at 8 seconds. That's when we're going. We're going to win the game. That's what we said in the timeout. We're going to win the game. And once we got that switched, and it was him just getting downhill. And we thought in that moment that I thought he could get a shot, but just as I thought he would get fouled because he puts a lot of pressure on the defense, and he was able to get fouled.
Speaking of defense, that trap on the baseline was huge and well executed by you guys.
Well, again, I thought Federico's defense throughout was unbelievable. I mean, because Baycott's one of the premier players in the country, certainly one of the best big guys. And I thought the way we started maybe surprised them a little bit because we played him straight up. We didn't double right away. And Federico did a really, really good job. In fact, we didn't really double until Federico got in foul trouble. We doubled when Guillermo came in, but when Federico got in foul trouble, that's when we went to our trap, and our guys did a really, really good job of executing that.
You know, there was something in the game in the first half that Guillermo did, and I'm pretty sure it was Guillermo, gets at top of the key and then challenges Baycott. The ball gets knocked out of bounds, and Dan Bonner doing the announcement say, hey, that's not a play that Pitt wants. It's probably not the shot that you want, but is your conversation with him, hey, we don't want to do that, or hey, I'm proud that you're aggressive, that you're just going to go and you see an opportunity, you're going to go for it?
Yeah, he can do that. That's something he can do. He can shoot the basketball from there, and he can be a playmaker from there. It's just that he's got to get a little bit stronger, especially playing against Baycott. That's what it was. It was a good drive, but because of the lack of strength right now, he just got knocked off balance. He got knocked off the target. You know, in a year, he'll be able to be doing that even more consistently. But that's a play, you know, when he's in, he's different from Federico. At times we want Guillermo to pop because that opens up things for our guards. We feel confident in him shooting the basketball from there, but also making plays. He's done it this year where he's popped and he's, you know, driven the basketball and made plays.
For you, we've asked the players this, a number of us have, about whether it's better to watch that home crowd go crazy or quiet a road crowd. How about for you?
I've always loved playing on the road. It's just something about you and your group going in. You know all you have is each other. You're in a hostile environment. I think that's when you find out who you really are as a basketball team. And one of the things that I've been really proud of our team is that we've really been at our best on the road. You know, I think we lost at Duke and we lost at Vanderbilt in true road games. So we've been pretty good on the road, and I think it's because this group is incredibly together. We've shown that we're tough. We're not afraid, and they believe in each other. And so, look, both of them are great. You know, obviously the crowd that we had on Saturday against, you know, in that last game against Miami, I mean, that was unbelievable. But certainly to go on the road and to quiet a crowd is pretty cool as well.
It's funny. I ran into Pat Narduzzi last night, and he was at the game with a lot of his juniors that they were recruiting, and he said they almost had to hold him back from running out on the court. And he said Chris LaSalle is one of his. He's like, we don't do that here. We don't do that. Coach, don't do this.
Yeah.
But he was so excited, which is I know we've talked about how you guys are one big community.
Yeah. Well, it's really cool to feel the energy back in the building. As a fan of this program from afar, that's the way I always saw it. Starting with that 2003 team when this place opened, you know, again, it was always, every time you got those preseason books, this place was always voted one of the toughest places to play, one of the best home courts, one of the best student sections. And it feels really good. I know we're all proud as a program, all the players on the team, the coaches, to feel that energy. and to have that back in the building.
Well, coming up, he had an ACC career high, 21 points in the win at North Carolina. Nelly Cummings will join us next on the Jeff Capel Show on the Pitt Panthers Radio Network. We are joined by guard Nelly Cummings. Congratulations.
Appreciate it.
What a game. We were talking before we started, and I said it was fun for us to watch. I'm sure it was a lot of emotions to be a part of playing it.
Yeah, it was a very passionate game, a lot of emotions, and it was very fun.
You had that run in the second half of 3 straight threes. Can you kind of take us through that? And did you feel you guys were down 6 when you hit the first one, like, hey, I got to make something happen, or was everything just in the flow of what was going on?
I would say it was more in the flow. I really wasn't constantly thinking of, I have to make a play or I have to force it right here. I don't like forcing stuff like that, so I really was just in the flow. The opportunity presented itself, and I just went for it.
Is it the 3 threes that you're as proud of, or even that feed to Fetty off those after that third 3?
Yeah, all of that. I think that whole moment was just a moment where I was able to capture energy in the gym.
We could see your face from the close-up. Like, what's that feeling like as you're in that heat of the moment?
I would just say I was just in the moment, man, just locked in, like just wanting to win, very passionate, just really wanting to do whatever I could to help us win.
How loud was it there?
It was rocking in there, man. One of the loudest environments I played in for sure.
But that's something you relish?
I love it. I love that. It allows me to lock into the game more when the game is that type of environment.
Is it difficult to communicate, or because it's just during, like, how do you deal with that side of it?
Yeah, it's definitely more difficult to communicate when it's loud like that, but we have certain hand signals that we all understand, or just really just being locked in and being connected, something we emphasize.
Have you taken a second to say, man, I just dropped 21 at the Deem Dome?
I really haven't thought of it like that. Really, Coach always emphasizes staying present and really just what is our next step, and I'm really just focused on, doing whatever we can to continue to just keep it going.
Before yesterday, you were 11 of your last 43 shooting. What got you out of it last night?
I don't really look at it. I didn't even know that until you told me that. I don't really look at it like that. I'm just, like I said, I'm so focused on the next step and being present in whatever we have going on that's what the game called for. So I had to do whatever I could do to help us win the game.
I know you were out here a couple of games ago doing some extra stuff. Like, is that typical for you? Like, hey, you want to do extra stuff, and that's what separates guys?
For sure. I've been doing extra stuff all my life, so I always pride myself on being the last person to lead a gym and things like that, just to, separate myself. I'm the smallest guy on the court, so I got to find a way to separate myself a lot of times.
So to that point, how is it you've learned, or what's a trick you've learned about how to create shots?
I think you got to just play with a certain pace. Like, sometimes you can't be too fast, too slow. You got to find that middle ground where you're able to see the whole court and it kind of slows down for you.
You've seemed to have mastered the runner. Has that been a shot that at what point in your career did that become a real weapon for you?
I'm not 100% sure when. I kind of always had a floater, but I think when you play bigger guys and bigger teams, you got to kind of utilize it more. So I've been missing it a little bit recently. So yesterday was just a game where it went in. I
know there's one of those shots that Baycott had come out on you, and there might have been a couple other times as well. As you're sizing up that matchup, how do you attack a guy with that kind of size? I mean,
for me personally, if I can get the shot off, then I think that's going to be my best look because, like you said, they're a lot bigger than me. So sometimes when I drive, that's not the best situation for me. So if I can get a shot off or I can get them to dance a little bit with their feet, I think that's my best case scenario.
When you guys have so many different options, how does that impact how you play?
I think as a point guard, it just allows me to be more free because I know that it doesn't have to be me scoring to win games. Like, it can be me just facilitating, leading, getting defensive stops. I can do so many different things and just score to impact the game. And I think that helps me being point guard for sure.
We had an interview opportunity with Jamarius the other day, and he was discussing Fetty and how don't look at the points, whether it's the screens, the rebounds, the defense, maybe things that you don't see on a stat. He's been so big for you. What has impressed you about the way he's progressed as a player?
Yeah, I think everything Fetty does on the court has been like an integral part of what we're doing for sure. And I think, like you said, things don't always show up on the stat sheet. So, like, his screen setting, his defensive, maybe he didn't get the block, but he deterred the shot, made him miss. He just does so much on the court, and he's an invaluable piece of what we got going on.
If you were to look at the bench, who's the first guy that's going to jump off the bench in celebration?
Greg doesn't start on the bench, but I always know if he's on the bench, he's going to give us some good energy on the bench for sure. But besides him, Everybody, man. Our whole bench is always
It's kind of crazy.
we're always connected. So I think that's a huge thing for us.
Who is? We're going to talk to Aiden coming up. How valuable are the things that he does for this team?
It's huge, man. I think the things he does never goes unnoticed because it's energy. Like he brings certain things that you can feel. It's not something that's tangible all the time that you can say, "Oh, this," but you can feel it. So I think without him, we wouldn't be in the position we're in. He has such a valuable part of this team.
All right, I want to ask you about coming back home. What that's been like, what you've enjoyed about being back in Pittsburgh as we continue with Nelly Cummings here on the Jeff Capel Show on the Pitt Panthers Radio Network. We're joined by Nelly Cummings here on the Jeff Capel Show. We're at the Campus View Club, which is it's a nice view from up here.
Really nice view.
What has it been like to be here? And we asked you this when you signed, when you first came, but now that you've had a couple of months to call this your home.
I don't even know how to describe it, man. It's been everything that I could have imagined. Like growing up, this was a place that I always seen as my dream. So being here has just been a blessing to be around the guys that I'm with, the staff and everything. It's just been a blessing, man. I'm really excited about everything that has happened here so far.
I imagine your family's happy.
Very happy. Very, very happy.
Did they come to most of the games?
Yeah, I haven't had a game at home with less than 20 people yet.
There could be pressure to that,
For
but
sure.
I imagine it's more fun.
It's more fun, but definitely some added pressure for sure.
Do you see them during a game, or are you so locked in you don't know, or can you hear a voice?
So my mom has a unique a unique whistle that I hear no matter where I'm at on earth. So I always hear that, and I know where she's at. So once I notice her, my whole family's sitting in the same section. So I see
seriously, like you hear that whistle even in this crowd.
from right now. I can hear it right now.
Is she a fan? Like, not obviously of you, but is she a big basketball person?
Yeah, for sure. Huge.
Do you guys talk about games afterwards?
Oh, yeah. So immediately after the game, we always have a little bit of time where we just sit and just talk about the game and the results of it and what happened, and we always do that.
Does she break it down? Like, hey.
Oh, yeah, she knows the game,
Yeah?
for sure. Yeah.
Wondering why you didn't do this?
Exactly,
Or why
yeah. Biggest cheerleader, but the biggest critic, too.
That's so cool. That's got to be the coolest thing about being home is being able to not just do that on the phone. You can do it in person.
Exactly. We can go sit down and eat after the game. It's a blessing, man. Like, for the last 4 or 5 years of my college, that was something I always wanted, and now I have it.
So if you took your teammates back home to Midland, where are you going to show them, and where's a place you're going to go eat?
I would definitely show them my grandmother's house. I spent a lot of time there, so I'll definitely have them meet the family, probably go to the legendary 4th Street basketball court. But besides that, not a lot of options to eat in Midland, so maybe I'll go to Subway or something like that, keep it casual.
Ooh. A big one, Subway. At what point did you know when you met your teammates, like, hey, this could be something special?
Yeah, I say from the beginning, like the first couple of days on campus, when I met the coaching staff, everybody here, I knew that we had something special here. I knew we had potential to do it. And the way we worked over the first few months, I knew that we had the potential and we put the work behind it. And I knew that that's a recipe for success.
Is there anything that you did to push that along, or did it just kind of come organically?
Yeah, I think there was certain things that, I did as a leader, just like, for instance, in our lifts in the preseason, I made the whole team stick together for an extra 10 minutes and do some core workouts. So, like, little stuff like that just to keep pushing it a little bit more every single day and just trying to get the most out of everybody.
For the guys that will be back next year, what are some of the things you want to leave them?
I think just the work ethic, the belief in the program and themselves, and obviously this environment we're helping to create again here. I hope that continues on with the Oakland Zoo and the fans. I think just everything we've brought this year, I hope it is something that can be sustained over time.
For you personally, why has it worked well within the system with these guys?
I think we got a whole bunch of guys who are all focused on one thing, and that's winning. And I think when you have that, it allows everybody to kind of just fit into a role because we're all focused on winning at the end of the day, so it doesn't matter who has the shine. It's all about Pitt winning, and when Pitt wins, we're all happy. So when Pitt loses, we're obviously not happy. So we're all pushing towards the same thing, and I think that allows everybody to just seamlessly just fit into it.
How would you describe the feeling of being able to make an impact at this level at ACC and what that means to your career?
Yeah, it means a lot, for sure. I mean, I'm a guy who has always been doubted my whole career, so to be at this level and be able to do this, what we're doing, and continue to keep going, I think that's something that definitely, when I'm done playing, at some point I'll be able to look back and say, wow, that was nice that I did that. So we're in it now, so I can't look at it like that, but one day.
You have a degree in sociology
Yep.
from Colgate. Congrats.
Thank you.
That's awesome. and now you're studying leadership here at the University of Pittsburgh.
Yep.
When basketball is done, what do you see yourself doing?
Honestly, I don't know for sure. I want to say I want to be a business owner to some degree, maybe coaching. I'm not 100% sure, to be honest, though. I got a whole bunch of different things that I would like to explore before I'm really set on my career.
So there's a guy who used to run your AAU team in Curtis Aiken. He's a very, very successful business owner. What piece of advice, what did you learn from Curtis?
I learned a lot from Kurt, man. You know, he's a really good dude who taught me a lot about life at a young age. You know, he exposed me to some things that I hadn't seen before growing up, and he always took care of me, looked out for me and stuff like that. So it's really nice to have him around still. Like, it makes me happy to see him on the bus, see him on the plane, see him like, oh, that's my guy, man. So it's a good feeling to have him for sure in my circle.
He's easy to spot because you're like, who's the sharpest dressed guy on Meteor Row?
Clean, always.
It's him, man, every time. And you don't try to compete with that.
Never.
Trust me.
I know.
You just do your own thing because you can't.
Can't
compete with Curtis. Well, hey, it's been great catching up with you. Thanks for joining us. You know, you're not the only one, obviously, that's a local guy that's on this team. There's a scholarship forward on this team we're going to talk to next as we continue on the Jeff Capel Show on the Pitt Panthers Radio Network.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Welcome back. We are joined by Franklin Regionals, Aiden Fish, 6'6" forward. No longer walk-on Aiden Fish, scholarship player. Congratulations.
Appreciate it, man.
That's awesome. How did you find out?
Well, I mean, honestly, I was shocked. We were at practice, and, you know, every day we break it down, you know, in the huddle. And I'm usually the one that breaks it down, so I'm right next to Coach. And, you know, he kind of blurts it out real quick. By the way, Fish is on scholarship, and everyone mobbed me. But my memory of it is actually a little foggy, you know. I was, you know, just getting mobbed for like 15 seconds. Couldn't see anything because everyone was so excited about it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Who did you call first?
Well, so I'm in the locker room, and the guys are like, oh, you got to call your parents. Like, I'm like, all right. So I FaceTime my dad. Doesn't pick up, obviously. FaceTime my mom. Doesn't pick up. You know, they're probably at work or something. So I sent the text. I got on scholarship, blah, blah, blah. My dad calls me back. He goes, what do you mean scholarship? And I was like, you know, Coach put me on scholarship. You know, he couldn't believe it. And I called my mom, and obviously she was, you know, extremely excited. It was a great moment.
You go through so much work. You had a lot of adversity that you dealt with in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Your first couple of years, you're manager, you get on the team. Have you had a chance to step back and think, man, I'm a scholarship player at Pitt?
You know, still kind of setting in. I always say this every day that I come in here, kind of just take a look around the main gym. And, you know, it's kind of surreal just thinking about my entire life I've been working towards this moment. And it's been filled with, you know, small victories along the way. First, you know, just getting into contact with the coaching staff, you know, trying to become a manager because they didn't
How did that happen?
Yeah, so I reached out to Coach O'Toole about a walk-on spot, and he told me they don't have any walk-on spots this year. So I went to Regan, and he was like, you can become a manager. So I was like, I don't really want to become a manager, but one of my buddies was shout out Pete Mishler. He was a manager here. He was like, just do it, man. So I was like, all right, I go to Regan. I tell him, all right, I'm going to become a manager. He goes, listen, you got to focus on becoming a manager. I know you want to be a player, but, you know, first responsibility is becoming a manager. So that year, you know, my first day in practice, Coach O'Toole saw I was a big guy and started throwing me into practice. You know, I was working my tail off every day, you know, just with the big men. These guys are weighing, you know, 60 pounds more than me at the time, and I was playing pretty good defense on them, you know, day in, day out, and, you know, Coach kind of noticed, and, you know, we end practice every day with a free throw, and I'm sitting there with my towel and the ball, you know, as all the managers do, and he goes, Fish, you got a free throw, and I, you know, shocked. Walked over, you know, took 2 dribbles, knocked the free throw down.
Nice.
Everyone mobbed me. At that point, I was like, man, coach is going to put me on the team. Didn't end up happening, the rest of that season. But Coach O'Toole called me in the summer, and he was like, "You made the team." So that was pretty surreal. Definitely a day I will never forget. May 30th, 2020.
So you've had a couple of memorable days here at the
sure.
university.
For sure.
How much more do you appreciate this opportunity because you had those 2 years as a manager?
Oh man, it's unbelievable. You just, as a manager, you're doing the grit and grind of everything for the team. You're wiping up sweat, you're rebounding for players, you're parking cars, just everything. And I don't take that for granted now that I'm in a position of better opportunities as a player, as a scholarship player. So I definitely appreciate everything that's happened.
So you're not putting sunglasses on and just looking like, hey, grab that towel for me.
Absolutely not.
But I know something that Jeff has talked about is that you treat everybody the same.
Yeah.
In this program.
Fully. Every day, you interact with the managers. They're part of the team just as much as any of the players. And, everyone is striving towards one goal, and that's winning. And as long as everyone is being treated the same way, we're going to achieve that.
Was that a tough transition to go from one to the other?
I remember my first day of practice, I was so nervous, Even something as simple as the 3-man weave felt difficult. But, Coach O'Toole pulled me aside. He's like, dude, you're on the team. You made it. Don't be nervous. And, ever since, I've really settled in. It's been great.
Yeah, I don't know if there's anyone that gets off the bench faster than Coach O'Toole. His intensity is what's it like, having him as a coach?
He is unbelievable, unmatched. I don't think he sleeps. You would think he's on 10 cups of coffee. I don't think he is. But he brings it every single day. And, he kind of inspires myself to, bring the best energy that I can every day. I'm trying to match his level, every single day.
Aiden, I want to talk to you about your role on the team and how important that is for this group and the importance you make of it as well as we continue. It's the Jeff Capel Show on the Pitt Panthers Radio Network. Joined by Panthers forward Aiden Fish. And how would you describe your role on this team?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of think of myself as a Swiss Army knife, You're trying to do just about everything. I'm trying to bring, the ultimate energy in practice, but also you're trying to push these guys. I mean, when Blake's on me, we talk about this all the time. He's like, don't ISO me. I'm not that guy to get ISO'd. But I'm going to try my best to score on you every single time I get the ball. But, as far as games, I mean, energy. You're trying to be the cohesive, the glue of the team, trying to bring everyone together. And, this year especially, I've tried to take on, somewhat of a leadership position. Talking to the twins, Fede, the younger guys, just about, how things should be done, what we can do to build a winning culture,
It's interesting. I watched you in warm-ups and things and walkthroughs and like you're leading, but there's a psychology to that too, right? Because you don't want to go too over the top.
Right.
To where it's, you kind of got to pick your moments, don't you?
Right, for sure. I mean, you definitely pick and choose when you are, giving that ultimate energy, but I make it a point to try and inspire the other guys to bring their best. It's one thing if one guy's out there yelling and giving their hardest, but if you can get the entire group to work together at a high level, then you're going to be successful.
You see the twins all the time. We've seen glimpses of some of the things they can do. You face them in practice. How good can these two be?
They can be phenomenal. Both of them, obviously, 6'11", 7 foot, shoot it with range. Jorge and Guillermo both have a great handle. Shoot, Jorge, especially, the way he moves on the perimeter, he moves like someone who's 6'4". He's got great footwork. But once they get a little time in the weight room, comfortable with the ACC play, they could be special players for this program.
If they walked into the dressing room and switched uniforms, do you know them well enough to know the difference?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
It took me about a week.
That's it?
Yeah, only about a week. Believe it or not, you spend enough time with them, it's pretty easy to tell them apart. But from afar, I understand why it's not the easiest.
What's guarding Fetty like in practice?
Fortunately, I don't get on him too much.
Switch?
Yeah. But, he's only about 215 pounds, but he has this strength that, you just don't see out of guys that weight very much. He has no body fat, and he's just it's a brick wall, But Fetty, more importantly, what do you do when Fetty's on you when you're on offense?
Right.
Great shot blocker and
Take a three.
yeah, moves his feet pretty well.
You have been, of all the guys on the roster, you've been around the longest.
Yeah.
What's different about this team this year?
I always say, Coach and everyone always says, leadership and old guys, it wins in college basketball. And we've got, especially, our new guys, the attitude they bring every single day. Blake, Nelly, Greg, it is contagious. Their attitude is unbelievable. Blake, every single day you see him, it's a smile, and we're going to do something special today. And I think it's just that belief and veteran attitudes that really have helped us. Aside from, man, these guys can shoot the ball, right? But they're tough as nails. And then you add in JB and Nike, we've got to have one of the oldest teams in the country.
Well, I want to ask you specifically about Nelly and what he's brought.
One of the toughest guys I've ever met, and just an absolute competitor. I've known Nelly for a while now, and he, as he said, has always been overlooked. Smaller guard, not good enough to do this, whatever they may say. And he has a chip on his shoulder. That's just the fact of the matter, and he's here to prove everyone wrong.
I could see that.
Yeah.
I could see that. You want to be a doctor.
Yes, sir.
So you're pre-med.
Yep.
And tell us what you're doing right now and what you've got coming up.
Yeah, so right now, thankfully, I've got a little waiver where I'm only taking one class. That's all I need to graduate. But I work as a volunteer at the hospital on Mondays at McGee Hospital. Work at a research lab, the neuromuscular research lab down in Southside, and then I'm also studying for the MCAT right now. So
which is in May.
Yeah, which is in May.
Which is pretty intense studying, I would imagine.
For sure, definitely a few hours a day at least.
That's awesome. And so someday one of your coaches might be on a table and looking up at you.
Right.
So they need to treat you right.
Right. That's what some of the assistant coaches always say. They say, "Hey, treat Fish right. Maybe working on you later." So.
Well, hey, it's a great story. Congratulations on all your success and getting to live out that dream that so many people hope to do, and you're getting to do it.
Yes, sir.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Coach is going to rejoin us here as we continue. It's the Jeff Capel Show on the Pitt Panthers Radio Network. Jeff rejoins us. Jeff, we were just discussing, those are two impressive young men. I can see why you love coaching this group.
Yeah, they are, man. And we have a team full of guys like that. They're all about the team, willing to do whatever, to help the team win. And these two guys, they're older, they're mature. They really, really care about each other. They care about this program. Fish has been here. Started off as a manager. Grew up coming here, grew up coming to camp here, always wanted to be a part of this program, so it really means a lot to him. And then Nelly grew up in this area and wanted to come here, and I remember going to see Nelly when we were recruiting him. And I went and I actually spent the day with him. I went over, I met his grandparents, I met his mother, went to her house, then we drove over and went to his dad's house and met his dad and sat there and talked, and I had a little bit of a presentation to go through with him, and I ran out to get my computer. I left it in the car, and it came back in, and we sat and we talked and we went through it. And then the thing I'll never forget, Nelly and his dad said, we know we know the soul of this program. Like, we know it. And because we grew up with it, Nelly would come over here and work out with Brandon Knight. I think he talked about one of his first AAU practices when he was like 6th or 7th grade was in the practice gym back there. And so he talked about, like, we know it, and we know how to bring it back, and that's what we want to do. And so it's been really cool coaching all of these guys, but especially these two guys.
What makes Nelly a great leader?
I think experience. I think his ability to communicate with anyone. Nelly's the type of guy, he can go into any setting and be comfortable. He can go into a business setting. He can go into a young person setting. He can go into a setting that maybe is not too friendly. And he can be comfortable, and he can make everyone be comfortable. He can relate and adapt to everyone. So I think his experience, he's a really smart guy, not a kid anymore.
Yeah.
He's a really smart young man. And he's very inquisitive. Nelly's a guy that wants to learn. He wants to know about different things. You know, he and I get into some conversations that are pretty interesting at times, just about things with life. You know, I told the story. He came over to my house, and he wanted a tour. Like, he wanted to see the house. And so I went and grabbed my wife and asked her, you know, because she knows the house better than me. I'm in like 2 or 3 rooms. And so we're going through. Then he starts asking, hey, and Jamarius about the artwork on the wall. Like, okay, what does this piece mean? What, you know, where'd you get this? Who's the artist? What does it mean to you? What does it speak? And I know my wife turned to me and she was just like, we've never had anyone ask us that, which is cool. Like, it's really cool with that. So I think all of those things are what make him a good leader.
Lastly, with Aiden, there's a lot of things that basketball coaches are responsible for. When you can have the team together and you could say, hey, we're putting this guy on scholarship, what's that emotion like?
You know, it's really, really cool because it's something that he earned. And, you know, the thing that I told him, we actually sat down, I sat him down, and I wanted to talk to them about something that was going on. It was the Tyree Nichols thing. I wanted to get their opinion and talk about that and see what they felt and, you know, things like that. So we had a conversation about that. And then I said, okay, let's huddle up. You know, here's our schedule for tomorrow. We got food for you. Make sure you get treatment, get your rest, and let's be ready to go tomorrow. And then we were getting ready to huddle up. And Fish is the one that always breaks us down, you know, and always does it. And I said, you know, look, guys, one more thing. I said, you know me, I'm not a big person, you know, for doing a lot of things publicly. That's not who I am. But I just want to let everyone know, and this guy doesn't even know it yet, but Fish, you got a scholarship. And they went nuts. And he's trying to hold it in. Like, I could see he was emotional, and he's trying not to cry, and they're keep going. They're hugging him, and because they see what he brings every day. They see his love and his passion. I've said this, Fish is one of the best teammates I've ever been around because he genuinely cares about each guy on the team. He cares about the program, and he cares about representing the jersey in the right way.
All right, we're going to take a timeout in our last minute. I want to ask you what you guys are going to do during the weekend off.
Yeah.
We continue Jeff Capel Show on the Pitt Panthers Radio Network. Saturday off, a weekend off.
Yeah.
Do you just exhale? How do you handle like rest versus rust, if you will?
Yeah, well, we're going to take, obviously, today off. We're going to take tomorrow off, so we're going to give them 2 days. We'll get back together on Saturday. Saturday will be more of a no-contact day. It'll be more of we'll try to clean up some stuff offensively. We'll get a lot of shooting in just to kind of get the heartbeat going, run up and down a little bit. And then afterwards, we're going to have a meeting. So we've periodically had meetings throughout the year just where we just get together and just talk. And we knew that this break was coming up. This will be a good time to get together to have one of those meetings. We'll have a topic. We'll discuss. And it's pretty open. I really just sit back and take notes. Jake Pursuti really kind of leads that and comes up with it. And it's been some really cool stuff. After that, we'll go grab something to eat together. We're going to take them somewhere that they want to go and just hang out.
And we'll see you Wednesday at 7 o'clock against Louisville. Thanks to Nelly Cummings, to Aiden Fish, to Coach Capel, Amanda King, Matt Pliska, and Nicholas Callis. It's Jeff Capel Show on the Pitt Panthers Radio Network.